So I think that TR is the use of different rapid leisure activities and experiences to help people explore what gives their life meaning and help them meet their goals and improve their quality of life, whatever that means to them.
I describe TR to people as a collaborative process between the practitioner and the client, and we're looking at leisure activities that are meaningful to people and are going to help them achieve their optimal well-being in life.
I've been struggling with this for the last 5 years of my university career. I feel like every course I take, I would explain it differently. But at this point, I would say it's engaging in opportunities with people where they can experience freedom and a greater sense of self and enjoyment through the leisure activities that they're engaging in.
So my personal philosophy related to TR kind of stems from the quote that life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but the moments that take our breath away. And the general idea being that not every moment has to be breathtaking, but that in general we should try to live a life fulfilled, not a life with filler.
I want to be a TR that is client-centered, and as I become my best self, I want to help others do the same and improve their quality of life.
I think TR differentiates from any other medical profession in the field because we use recreation and leisure services to help make a difference in people's lives. So that differentiates from, say, medication that people are on, maybe rehab that people are doing. It's completely separate from that.
So although TR has really strong medical ties and components to it, the potential is really different from different professions because it's really client driven. So TR gives clients the opportunity to choose rather than be told what their plan is.
Medical field. So I think TR is different from other professions in the medical field because it focuses on inclusion, critical self-reflection, and advocacy. It also looks at the individual from a holistic perspective versus labels like patient and focusing on their diagnosis.
I hope in the next 10 years to see the practice of TR become more well known to people within the community so that it's not necessarily assumed that it's something to do with medical needs, but more with recreation and leisure and how to improve the life of people who are experiencing challenges, and that there would be more opportunities in the communities to either work under a TR professional or to even have opportunities arise to be a TR professional.
I would like to see an increase in TR education or programs that are catered towards TR. Also, an increase in value. So I would say our field is undervalued in the current scheme of things. And more of these services. So as our population is aging, it would be really nice to see an increase in TR services.
Okay, so I hope within the next 10 years that general population would at least have a better understanding of what TR is, what they do in the field, and it hopefully will be recognized as a medical profession just as a doctor, psychiatrist, nursing, things like that, because those are really well known. TR is not, so I hope that it's seen as a really beneficial tool that everyone can use to make a difference.
In the next 10 years, I'd like to see more TR in various different locations. I think right now it's not seen as being necessary in a lot of different places, and I think that a lot of different populations could benefit from it being integrated into the care provided. I'd like to see there be less of a focus on gaining different certifications and having more of a focus on what can everybody bring to the table so that there's more opportunity for difference and different perspectives of how to go about different things. I think that will make people more creative in how they deliver care, less medicalized, which would be nice. I'd also like to see people delve a little bit more into spirituality and what gives you meaning, and kind of stray away from, these are activities that I as a therapist know how to do, and this is what we have resources for, so we're going to do these activities, and more of what would really be helpful to these people, what do other people really want to do, opposed to more therapist driven.
So TR is still on the rise, and I guess my greatest hope for the field is that the climb continues and that funding for TR professionals continues with that. Others need to see the value in the profession, and it would be great to see TR considered common practice and as vital to community life, medical well-being, as we already know it is.
That's one of the unique things about TR, is that you never really know where you're going to end up. There's so many different pathways you can take, and you never know which doors are going to open or anything like that, so you never know really where you're going to head. Right now I think I'm going to head into like mental health recovery. I'm just starting my master's this fall, and so I really want to get into the research aspect and then take that into the field and see where that ends up.
In 10 years I see myself working with senior citizens. I think that that's a service that's going to need a lot of help in the future, especially since in like 15 years the population will be so big. But you ask me that in 5 years and who knows where I'll really be.
I would see myself working in geriatrics. I like working with older adults, so I would like to see myself working in potentially a nursing home or mental health fields, working with Alzheimer's or dementia patients.
I see myself working in a hospital setting, maybe with older adults, perhaps veterans, in the future, and maybe doing my occupational therapy.
I like to be in TR because I love TR. I'm not sure if I want to be community or in the hospital setting. Those two are my top choices. I did my internship in a hospital and I did co-op placement in community, and I loved them both. I like community because it's more opportunities to work with a variety of people. My end goal, which I don't know if it'll be 10 years or 20 years or I don't know how long, I would like to have my own company that is like a consultant company that works with both individuals and existing organizations to create opportunities. So whether it's with a recreation organization and going in and seeing what services are needed and what's already there and how it needs to be changed, or if it's working with individuals to match them with opportunities that they're looking for. That's my end goal, but I don't know if that's 10 years or 20 years down the line.
I see myself ideally working in a community environment. I really want to work with youth with disabilities and help find ways to make communities more inclusive and accepting of everyone. Where do I see myself? I think that's probably what I love most about this field. There's such a variance on where it can take you. We're really being gifted with an opportunity to kind of direct our own paths, and I just hope that I find meaning in my work as well as in my leisure and family.
In many ways, the core education hasn't changed. And so we're still using the original models. There have been some new models added in, but for the most part, the core practice hasn't changed. I'm also happy to say, well, not also, one of the things that hasn't changed is the quality of the therapeutic recreation student. And consistently over the decades, there's just something about a TR student that you can't quite capture. There's an energy, there's a spirit, there's just really nice people to work with, and so that hasn't changed. And when you combine that with what has changed, I think we have something powerful. In our education, we're trying to reflect all different ways of being in the world and to recognize all forms of difference in the way we practice and in the way we think about how we do research and the way we practice. And that was not present in previous decades. And we're just on the beginning of that to really embrace that more fully. And with that, one of the things that has changed, I'm happy to say, is that we're looking at greater bodies of theory. to help us think more about the complexity of people's lives, and bringing a lot more critical theory in to look at power relationships and ways to create resistance and change. So that's changed. And then part of that, the other thing that's changed a lot is we're moving much more toward, if we're going to work with diverse people, and if we're going to think with theory in all different kinds of ways, reflective practice is going to be needed on an ongoing basis as we think about how we're engaging with people, the power relationships we're forming, checking our own assumptions. You know, we live in the world we do live in, and we've embraced a lot of assumptions, a lot of the oppression, and a lot of the isms, and without even knowing it. And so that's what we have to keep unpacking on a daily basis.
The thing I've seen most in terms of how it's changed is not necessarily a cultural thing within TR as much as it is really what's going on at Waterloo in my perspective. So I came from the American system. When I was being educated, it was very highly medical model, very specifically focused on people with cognitive, emotional, physical limitations, and more specific to kind of working within institutions. What I've seen shift since then, and I can't tell if it's a cultural shift or if it's simply because I've shifted to the University of Waterloo, is that there is much more focus on making TR more inclusive of all people, not just people with or without certain abilities. And in particular, I think that because of the way the world has changed, we have stopped focusing on looking at individuals as having a particular attribute that we need to work with them on through therapeutic recreation. Instead have looked at what we call intersectionality. The idea that people have various abilities, but those abilities are connected to different transitions they're going through in life, connected to their race, their class, their gender, their sexuality, kind of all of these different aspects, so that they're that whole fully fleshed out individual that we're working with, instead of kind of labeling someone as having a particular ability or disability. What I've seen that's been done differently is that we're looking more socioculturally at how individuals are actually grounded within a particular historical, cultural, socio-political moment. So that when we're working with individuals, we're working with them, not on them, and that we're working with them within their particular community. And so looking more at how things like politics or government or different social norms and expectations are actually playing upon them or imposed upon them, that also will contribute to either experiences of inclusion or exclusion. So again, that shift from simply looking at an individual, that we have a label, to now shifting to looking at an individual within a community in connection to all of their intersectionalities as they're related to kind of those larger cultural discourses or ideologies.
So I entered practice at a time when there was significant change underway. It was a time when practitioners were switching to program management, which meant that we were no longer in units where it was strictly recreation therapy, occupational therapy. It was more the recreation therapist was housed on a unit, a clinical unit with an interdisciplinary team. It was a time when we were working with interprofessional collaboration, so we were facilitating groups with a number of practitioners. It wasn't just the recreation therapist or two recreation therapists together. It was a time when we were becoming more focused on evidence-based practice, moving from a deficit-based approach, and a time when we were more focused on the individual holistically, as opposed to just looking at the diagnosis.
And practice go. I really think we need to have a move towards pluralism. This idea that we're talking about this shift that I've mentioned earlier, kind of away from just the medical model into looking more community, into looking more socioculturally. I think that shift doesn't mean that we're shifting away from something and leaving it behind. Instead, it's shifting towards allowing more pluralism within TR, meaning more ways of understanding what TR can be and what it should be, who we're working with, what kind of change we want to see in the world. And so I think that shift, there's these wars within a lot of different professions that in order to legitimize a profession, we have to have these strong defined boundaries about what it is. And I think that's dangerous because as we define something, we inadvertently exclude. And I think we need to, instead of really focus on defining, we need to open those boundaries to allow TR to be what it needs to be within the moment, in the now, in a particular space and place. So allowing for more pluralism, working with individuals, and again, really looking at individuals within these socio-political contexts. I think that's where we need to go in order to remain relevant, in order to kind of bring all of us together so that we have these larger goals to help create a more inclusive and socially just world.
Continue on doing the big three things I talked about: acknowledging difference, working with greater bodies of theory, and reflective practice. And we have lots more research and writing to do about all of that. So if anybody wants to go to grad school, I think that would be a good thing. I'm hoping we see the TR practice shift so that we have a lot more engagement in community and we don't just think about TR in clinical settings, because I think there's just a need for TR in the community. And I think people's lives would be just made that much more powerful and enriched with our presence. With our shift into community, though, what's going to need to change in practice is our ability to engage in resistance through TR. So getting away from the stereotypical programming that we have done in the past, there's nothing wrong with that, but when we move into community, we have to engage with people more at the political level, more in terms of how do we create system change. And there's a great opportunity for us to engage with people, not doing things to them, but facilitating them to create the change they want to see in the